Representative Chu, how are you feeling today?
I feel completely outraged. Even though there was a leaked decision some weeks back, and I was outraged then, there is nothing like actually having the decision delivered in this manner that could quell my complete disgust and outrage over what this decision will do to millions of women in this country. We already see that 26 states are poised to ban abortion completely, and that will affect 38 million women in those states who should be able to make the personal, private decision that would determine their own futures, but instead will be forced to travel hundreds of miles to other states. Some will have difficulty being able to get the money to do so. Will have a hard time taking time off from work. Will have a hard time getting a babysitter. It will be difficult for many women, and this is why I am outraged.
I know you have been out speaking today. You've tweeted, "We won't go back," and yet with trigger laws in place, that is going to happen immediately, will you not, in terms of returning to the situation previous to Roe versus Wade?
Well, this is why we have to go to the ballot box. Every legislator must be held accountable for their vote on abortion. And the voters have to determine who their representatives are going to be. Should they make a personal, private decision that affects them, that would control their own body? Should it be a private decision between them and their doctor? Or should it be Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Senator Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz that makes the decision for you? Well, it's obvious what it should be. It should be your own personal, private decision, and that's the way it's been for 50 years.
Can you see today as anything other than a victory for Donald Trump?
Well, I think that they have been working towards this point for a long time. Donald Trump indeed was their vehicle to get the justices on the Supreme Court that would vote this way. And actually, this is only the beginning of the extremist Republican agenda. They will go after doctors who perform abortions. They will ban certain forms of contraception. And really, their ultimate goal of this extremist Republican agenda is banning abortion entirely in the United States.
Well, I want to pick up on that and talk to you about what President Biden was saying today, because he says the only way to restore a woman's right to choose is through Congress. We know the Senate just blocked an attempt to do exactly that last month. Does that mean, in terms of any sort of legislative response, really this is about the midterms and changing who's in office?
Well, that is right. And I do have to say, the House passed my bill, the Women's Health Protection Act, which would enshrine the protections of Roe versus Wade into law. It is in the Senate where this bill received the obstacle that it did and didn't get the votes necessary. And that's why we do have to go to the ballot box. We do have to make sure that those that we elect are pro-abortion and will respect a woman's decision. And so it is indeed a way to combat the Supreme Court's decision. It is by enshrining this bill into law.
There has been a lot of frustration towards President Biden, towards the Democrats in the United States, and the expectation was going into the midterms that the Republicans, frankly, were going to trounce a lot of Democrats. How significant do you think today might be? Do you believe that it will change that tide?
Well, I want to remind you that there are millions of women in this country who've never known a United States that did not uphold their right to an abortion. And now women in 26 states will wake up to the reality that abortion is no longer available to them. I think this is also a wake-up call to women in terms of how the U.S. Supreme Court and the Republican extremist agenda is treating them. and it will be a wake-up call as to how they vote in the midterm elections.
Do you think this will be the issue?
I think this will be the issue amongst other key issues. I mean, we just had gun legislation finally passed today, and that's another big one because we are seeing mass killings every day. We did take a positive step today, though, but this is clearly an urgent issue.
I appreciate that you are no fan of what happened today, an outspoken opponent of it, but I still want to ask you, people around the world are watching what is happening in the United States. What message does overturning Roe v. Wade send to the rest of the world about what is happening in the U.S. right now?
Well, we have a Republican extremist majority on the Supreme Court, and this was something that the Republican extremists in the Republican Party were planning for a long time. But we have a chance to change this. We have a chance to change this in the elections. And that's why we have to make sure that the people wake up as to how their legislator looks at a woman's choice. Are they for a woman's choice, or are they for making women second-class citizens in this country? That is the question.
There is a discussion in this country about to what extent we might see American women come to Canada in hopes of getting an abortion if it's no longer available in their state. The Canadian government, from what we've heard thus far, has expressed openness to that, but would you have any message to the Canadian government about those women coming to the border, crossing the border for abortions?
Well, I appreciate Canada's openness to this. It is indeed a reality, and the easier you can make it for these women, the better. I already know that this is happening in my area of Pasadena, California, which is Southern California. I just heard from my Planned Parenthood, and they said that a woman in Texas was 7 weeks pregnant, which is 1 week past their 6-week ban. And she already had 3 kids, so she could not afford another. She called all the states to see if there was an opening for an abortion, finally came upon Pasadena. And she just decided she had to pack up her 3 kids and husband, and they drove 20 hours straight to Pasadena. We will see this story repeated all over the place. And the more that we can accommodate these women, the better.
Representative Chu, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.